Hi, my name is Alex Guevara. Today I'm going to be discussing graphene and electronics. As you can see there from the suggestive imagery, it is chemistry related and related to chemical sciences. There's a table of contents of all the subjects that I will discuss within the next 8 minutes or so. You can take a quick second to look at those. Don't look too hard. So basically, in a nutshell, to introduce it, it is a wonder material and it is growing in uses in industry. And I mean this literally in nearly every single industry, which is everything you see and touch, and especially the things that most people like, which are electronics, which is what I'm going to be discussing. Andre Geim, began his graphene research in 2002. He wanted to find carbon at its thinnest layer possible. He recruited one of his PhD students at the time named Konstantin Novoselov to work with him on graphene research, and that began in 2002. They were working at the University of Manchester, and they were doing graphene research, and Geim actually won a Nobel Prize for levitating a frog and many other materials in 2000, which you can look up. It's pretty interesting stuff. Levitation, literally. So again, the original project was to polish graphite to its thinnest layer, trying to get the thinnest layer of carbon. But actually, I think they were throwing away some Scotch tape and they saw some shiny residue on it, and that's where the whole idea began, to find graphene, or to discover graphene. But anyways, by 2010 they won a Nobel Prize for their research with graphene, and by 2015 they'd already established the National Graphene Institute. It was built in Manchester, United Kingdom, where they discovered graphene. Take a minute to admire that imagery. So these days, it is highly researched worldwide. It's the most flexible, conductive, and unbreakable material. And conductive means electricity-wise. More than gold, more than anything else ever, which they have used a lot of gold in the past, but they stopped using it as much because it's expensive. So as you can see here in these images, you can see diamond and graphite. And diamond and graphite are both made only of carbon, but as you can see in the yellow images, that carbon is arranged differently in both of these materials. So you can see diamond is very random with all the little circle bubbly looking things, and graphite is specifically sheet layered on top of sheet layered on top of sheet, and it's packed and it looks like a rock, and that's why diamond is clear and that's why graphite looks like a dark black rock. So you can admire that imagery for a second there. Very informative imagery there. So again, to assure you, graphite, the rock, is layers of stacked graphene. So graphene layered on top of itself, one layer after another. The thinnest layer possible would be what graphene is. And graphite is what is in pencils. When you use a lead pencil or just any sort of pencil to write with, that's what graphite is. That's the material that you're using. So it's just a sheet is what graphene is. It's a sheet, one single sheet. It's the thinnest layer that they found on graphite, made all out of carbon. I don't know if that makes too much sense, but you can see from the imagery that, graphite is stacked, compressed layers. Somehow they managed to find it. But here you see that batteries are looking to be replaced, and so is silicone. So all the research going on around the world right now is looking to make everything lighter and to charge faster. So they're trying to get rid of silicone inside of all electronics because this stuff is lighter and stronger than silicone. And if they use it in batteries, it'll actually charge faster and last longer than your modern day battery. So we're headed towards some very magical material, but I'm guessing most people will just be passive towards it by the time it gets into the market completely. So you can see that a lot of electronic companies have been filing for a lot of patents, and you can see that Exeter University actually discovered the first flexible lighting device and touch sensor. So that's where that began with electronics, was with them. You see from these graphs that a lot of these patents and filing for patents has gone up year after year after year, and Samsung holds the most amount of patents, and IBM is the highest patent holder in the USA. And there's a bunch of universities, which I've actually worked with University of Berkeley, so you understand that a lot of times the universities actually own laboratories and they file for patents also. So I mean, they're a company just like anybody else. You own the patent, then I mean, I'm not really sure what you gain out of it personally, but I mean, if you discover something, you discover something. But here is a flexible screen, and this, I'm going to assure you that this is not old technology that you might have seen somewhere. This was developed within the last 10, 12, 15 years. And this has been in phones for the last several years. I've seen a few LG phones, but that's pretty new. And the whole point behind that is to not break and to make, cell phone screens that don't break. I'm sure you've seen some of these before. Here's a Samsung commercial with Lil Wayne, the rapper. You see how he's, pouring liquid all over the phone, dipping it in water, and that is a Samsung phone, and they're the highest patent holders for graphene. They have been doing a lot of research and a lot of developing of indestructible phones and electronics. So you can see there, he's jokingly pouring champagne all over this Samsung phone, but, there is some thought behind that. So here you see a Lenovo phone that a man is bending right there. And he's going to show you a tablet that he's bending in a second. But the whole concept behind that, again, also, that screen is made of graphene. And the whole point to that is to, help with shatterproof technology, because people are careless. I broke a screen myself. I fell asleep on it and I broke it. And I always see people with cracked screens. And that's the whole point with that. And it's not just to look cool. And that is stuff that will probably never break, even if you hit it with a hammer. And all right, moving on. So the prospects for the future are that one day, within the next few years, in the next 10, 20 years, you probably will see a phone that has no battery connection. You can leave it sitting in the sun for 10 minutes. It'll fully charge and say charge for 8 hours, and it'll never break. It has the fastest internet you'll ever see, and it won't break, and you can bend it. So it's a future world technology that's coming within the next 10, 15 years. And you can see this image provided by GE that is not exaggerated, that a sheet of graphene can hold up a 15,000 pound elephant. It's strong. It's a completely magical material. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you can look into that yourself a little bit more. And if you don't know chemistry, learn some more chemistry, so maybe that'll make more sense to you. But that is definitely real, and that is what our electronics are headed towards.